Cousin Joe show. Who's this?
Hey, Joe, what's up, man? Joe Howard here.
Hey, Joe, how you doing, man?
Good, I'm doing good.
I don't know if you were listening.
What's going on?
I don't know if you were listening before we mentioned you in your response to Scott's ex, the cunt. For people listening that weren't listening earlier, this is the guy I was praising who responded to Mary on Facebook on the great Tommy Black's Facebook page, who is out now, right? He's cool. He's good.
What's that?
Well, because just kind of half introducing you, pretending I'm professional,
Okay.
but I'm not. Your friends, just to boil it down, you're friends with Scott and Tommy, right?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, me and Tommy have been friends for years, man.
Tommy Black,
Ever since
if you
back
don't-
in the Hollywood days.
Tommy Black.
Yeah, Tommy
for those
Black, me.
Okay.
Go
No, I was going to say, for people who don't know, basis for the Wildabouts. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. He's been in other bands. He's been in Sparkler. He's been in Golden State. I mean, Tommy's got like a really his music career has been
He owns
really
a
good.
Viper room, too, right? The guy's really successful.
He doesn't own it. He's like we call him
Manager?
the mayor of Hollywood.
Okay.
Tommy,
I know he works.
Tommy's a great guy. He's one of those guys in town you want to know. He's been a great friend forever. Great musician. He actually has a lot of solo stuff. Actually, posted a video of his today. And I called him a little earlier and just told him, like, it's been a week, man. I feel really bad. I'm giving him space. I'm just checking in with him, man. He lost Jeremy in March, and now he lost Scott.
Yeah.
He's going through a rough time. It's been tough on him.
Yeah.
But he's hanging in there. He's he's comforting Jamie,
Right.
which is great. Scott's wife and photographer. She's an amazing person.
Yeah.
Just very sweet, and it's definitely it's terrible for us as fans too. Like I've been around Scott a bunch of times because of Tommy, and Scott liked me because I worked in the entertainment industry forever, so I know how to act when it's like someone like that. I just do what I do. Like, we sit at the table, we laugh, we have jokes. He's comfortable. He knows I'm not trying to get an autograph. I'm not trying to get a picture. I don't care.
Right.
But he was Scott. I'll tell you, he's one of the greatest guys. He's very interesting, and he's impulsive, but it's funny. Like, some of the stuff he comes up with, you just laugh. His mind works differently. We talked about a lot of topics that day. It was a great day. I'm glad I got to spend that kind of time with him. It was really cool. Tommy and me, Scott and Tommy were having lunch, and then Tommy had to go sound check. So me and Scott sat at the table. I mean, we talked forever. So it was a good catch up. And
But
talking
that
about
wasn't
the road,
that wasn't your first time meeting Scott, was it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I met him a bunch of times. Actually, you know what? The last couple of times it's been when they're rolling through town, whether it's at the Sands Casino or I've seen him in Atlantic City. A couple of years ago, me and my brother and Tommy hung out the whole time. So whenever he's in town, it's a familiar face to him. So I make sure I go out and see them, and it's always a good time, man. Tommy's a great friend, man. I feel bad he's suffering right now, and it's a tough thing,
I'm just glad he's
But
out.
Tommy's one of those guys. I mean, there's a lot of speculation, but let me tell you, Tommy's like was Scott's right. He was like his best friend, watching over him, just making sure things are cool, making sure the wrong people aren't around Scott. And so when there's all this speculation about who's got what and what was found on the bus, to me it's upsetting because Tommy's not just a musician and a friend, but they were brothers, and for him to get bad press right now is ridiculous because Tommy does not do drugs. I've been friends with this guy forever. He's like really into keeping himself pretty clean, actually, and he's all about the music. When he's not touring and on stage, he's writing music.
I mentioned,
go ahead.
No, I mentioned last week, of course, before I heard the news on the show last week about seeing him on the 28th. After the show was over, Tommy, amongst the other band members, came out by like the merch tables, and I was talking and hanging out, taking pictures with Tommy for 5-10 minutes. But he couldn't have been cooler or nicer.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like, and he's like the kind of guy like, hey, tell your friends. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what he said to me because I told him I've been seeing Scott solo. Aside from SDP, I've been seeing Scott live solo since 2008, Happy in Galoshes, and that show was the best I had ever seen. And that's exactly what he said to me. He goes, tell your friends, man. I was like, I will, and I did. I'm still doing it now.
Yeah, I mean, like, no matter what, like, Tommy's
always
always releasing albums or CDs, and I always tell Tommy, like, I'm buying it. Like, don't give it to me. I'll go pay to see shows. Man, that's how I do it. Like, I want to support my friends in music. But when Scott's rolling through town, I get set up nice, and I'm very thankful. But like I said, me and Tommy have years in, and it's always good. Like Scott's, dude, he's rock royalty. I mean, the guy sold more albums than Elvis. The guy, he's got a lot of fans. A lot of people love him, and when people, I was telling Scott, I was like, it's funny, like all the press and people say things, and because he made a comment on the internet about people that are normally quiet, now they have a voice called the internet, and they can sit and write whatever they want, and
which is good and
bad,
bad,
of
course.
Big persona that they're big and bad and they're tough and they can say anything with no consequences. So we were talking about that a little, and I'm like, hey man, when I look at all the stuff you've done, some of the people that are writing stuff, these, 90% of them haven't done anything. If you're having problems in life, no matter what the struggle is, like I like to see my friends come back. I like to see them, get back into, not stumble. I want to see them win. And a lot of people don't want to see people win. Exactly. A lot of people just want their comments and their negativity.
For some reason, people want the opposite. They love seeing the downfall. I don't understand.
It's almost like that bloodlust that people have to watch a fight. It's the same thing. Like some people want to fucking piss on somebody when they're down.
Yeah. It's the only thing that makes them feel better. Like, miserable fucks.
Exactly. It makes them feel better.
Any person that would write anything about Scott without knowing him, it's shameful act because he's such a great guy. If they spent 10 minutes with him, they'd be like, man, he's a great guy. Right. He's one of those guys that, he's pretty simple. Like, he doesn't really want, come on, man. When I was hanging out with him, people are over at the table, people are trying to take pictures. I mean, the guy, he's a legend. I get it. And it could definitely get you crazy. I could see how it can happen. But he's always been good to his fans. And when I saw him before, like we were talking about a couple subjects, laughing and goofing around, I mean, he was on 10. He was perfect.
Yeah.
So, like, when I hear the speculation, I'm like, come on.
Well, that's what pisses
and not only
me
that,
off.
Like, with Mary.
Okay, I was going to get to that in a second, but before, if you don't mind, before we get to the cunt Mary in a second, I brought up before, like, TMZ went wild with the buprenorphine, people, the way they reported it, first of all, was like it was a major opiate. I took it. It's the main ingredient, Suboxone. When I used to fucking do morphine every morning for breakfast for a year, I went on Suboxone. Yeah. It's what, addicts take to get it. It worked wonders for me. I can't speak for anybody else. Right. Well, naloxone, which is also in it, blocks, yeah. And, again, that's mainly what it's prescribed for. But they reported it as if he was doing hardcore opiates. No, faggots, it's the other way around. You're not understanding.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Look, I'm gonna tell you, man. I could tell anybody. No one knows about his private life with his ex, okay? But I'm gonna tell you, when that subject came up, this dude loves his kids. He was very emotional, and the thing is, like, look, when I read that article, I was infuriated because I'm like, he's not here, and this.
The article by Mary's ex, by the way, of course.
Yeah, you're gonna go to. You don't go to press. You want to talk about something. I mean, she's got a lot of stuff in her book. Like, she said, I was misdiagnosed with bipolar. Yeah, because your whole book is about you bipolar.
That's exactly what I was saying before.
So is your whole book false now? You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff in there. I don't want to look. I don't know her. Okay.
I don't either, but I know she's out of her fucking mind, batshit crazy lunatic cunt. I told Dave before the show, all people really need to know about her is the fact that during a fight when they were married, she took tens of thousands of dollars worth of his clothes into the driveway, poured gas on him, and lit a match. Classic psycho behavior.
Yeah. I mean, any sociopath that wants to put all the attention on her right now.
And to involve her fucking kids, too. That's what makes it so sick.
Oh, my God. You know what? To tell you the truth, like, look, man, I have kids, okay? My son lives in California with his mom. I see him a lot. My daughter lives in Philly. I live up in the Poconos, so I don't see them all the time. And, they're older now. My son's going to be 18. My daughter's 24. Thing is, like, this guy has tried to see his kid. Like, she makes it, it's going to be on her terms. Just a constant ball breaking. And every guy who's divorced with kids knows what I'm talking about. And It's funny, like, all these lawyers and all these groups are reaching out to me. Oh, great thing. And I'm like, listen, man, I'm never sitting here pretending to be Scott's best friend. I'm an acquaintance. He knows who I am. I know who he is. Tommy's a good friend of mine for 20-something years. I'm probably friends with Tommy for 25 years, since when I met him in 1988 when I moved to Hollywood. Wow. Okay, so Tommy brought me into that world. But you know what? I've heard all the things about Scott. When I met him, I'm like, dude, that's one of the coolest and nicest guys I've ever met. The guy's super creative. We love what he does on stage. We love his songs. The guy's got a legacy that's ridiculous. And it's nothing but respect for him because he showed me nothing else but just that he's a great guy.
Right.
And with Tommy, you know, first thing I said to Scott was, hey, man, I'm sorry about your brother, Jeremy. And he's like, you know, I really appreciate you saying that. You know, because that's on his mind. And you know what the thing is, too? Like, missing his kids. That's on his mind.
Yeah.
He misses his kids. She could say anything she wants, but you know what? I felt like it was a real cheap shot. You know,
of course it was.
The guy, I mean, he's
also
if you
read his
today.
Also, for people who read his book, you know how dedicated he was to his kids and how familiar he is with loss and how much he wanted to connect with his father. He wrote a fucking song called "The Man I Didn't Know" about his biological father. So he was trying to do the opposite and be the best parent he could. No, she's just a.
Yeah.
I keep saying.
You know what? To tell you the truth, I could see, like, a lot of my friends were right on that link. Like, hey, man, I could see like a lot of it from her side. If I'm an outsider, I'm trying to see. You know, of course, she's scorned, she's hurt, all this stuff. But you know what, man? I mean, that book and just a lot of the stuff, it just struck me as wrong. And the only reason I wrote that, seriously, I wrote that, and I wasn't trying to like get on, you know, on a website. I wasn't reaching out and trying to contact people about it. It was something that I wrote, got quoted. But, you know, I have people, you know, hit me up saying, dude, thank you for writing that. That was really nice.
I was
people that love Scott or people that have been involved in the same stuff that's been going on. But I'll tell you, we had the greatest conversation at the table. And when that subject came up, you know, I could just tell the mood. His eyes were red, like watery. He was upset. And I was just like, yo, so anyway, you know what I mean? Just And it was cool, but I was like, that was a tough moment, and I didn't even want to say another word because that's, like, it just got emotional quick.
Right.
And you know what? He's a dad, and he loved his kids, and that's the bottom line. And he just told me, I love them, I miss them so much, and that was, and I just changed the subject, and that was that. But
then to see Mary's post after you just saw the complete opposite for yourself, that's why a lot of people respect, including me, what you wrote. Someone had to fucking defend the guy, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's weird, man. Like, somebody said to me, like, it's really crazy that you were there at that moment days before, and we were actually talking about that. Mm. And I was like, that was on my mind a lot, too. I didn't shake that one off. I was like, man, I really felt bad. So when I read that Rolling Stone, it was just floating on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, let me read this one. Man, I was disgusted. I was disgusted because a lot of reasons, okay? Like, Rolling Stone, to me, is a respectable magazine. And now you got the TMZs of the world out there. Everybody's trying to compete. And for them to put a story out like that, I felt at that time it was just tasteless.
It wasn't even putting a story out. It was just letting a fucking lunatic on a soapbox for whatever reason.
Yeah, she was just ranting.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was definitely, you could tell how hurt she was by it. And look, we didn't live that life. I get it. But that was so many years ago. I mean, when she, you know, this is, people are telling me all this stuff because I don't do research on any of this because I got my own life to live. Right. But when she met him, he was doing what he was doing. She was doing what she was doing. She's never at fault in anything.
Right.
You know, when people are having a tough time, dude, let me tell you something. People are coming up to Scott and saying, hey, man, I had a really tough time in my life. And, like, honestly, like, your lyrics and a lot of stuff that just me being a fan, like, I feel like I know you. Like, that's got to be the most flattering thing you could ever hear as a songwriter and a singer. And he was just very gracious and, oh, man, thank you so much for saying that. And just really cool. Like, the waitress that came up to us was like, please don't leave without getting a picture with me. She's like, I know you're eating and I feel bad about it. He's like, no, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, completely cool. And, you know, people, dude, I'm telling you, like, even before I would read articles and I'm like, why are people just need to, hey, man, I'm happy when people make their way back. And Scott, honestly, he has a perfect condition. And it, you know, for people to make all kinds of speculation or say stuff about it, to me, it's just unnecessary. I mean, this guy's given a lot out. He's been putting out great music for 25 years. You know what? Respect his body of work. Respect his kids. Yeah. Take a step back. You don't need to fire anything on the internet. No one cares what anybody says. You know, the legacy stands for itself. But as far as him him making him to be the worst father in the world. I felt that it was time. I had to say something. I wouldn't feel good if I didn't. And I'm glad it caught fire the way it did. And, there's good press about it and bad press about it. But
it felt like she was pouncing, though. It felt like she took the opportunity while his name was trending, if you will, to jump all over it and make sure that she could get her name out there. And she plugged her book and everything else she could in the moment. It was like so petty.
It seemed like she was lining up to promote a new fucking book.
Right. She's got another book coming out where she's going to detail more about Scott and what a piece of shit he was and everything else that she can say about him. And it's totally unfair, and she's trying to sensationalize something that she should actually, if anything, she should be saying what a good person he was, how they knew each other for years, he fathered their kids. Like, why does she have to go to immediate character assassination? It's not right.
That was really fucked up. And to go back to it.
Well, it's not even that, man. It's just so many years passed. Like she said, maybe he died long ago, but today is the day he gave up. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Horseshit.
That to me, it's so disrespectful to their kids, even that they're gonna have to read that one day.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And truly understand in the moment what she did. That's, to me, is really sad. Because you know what? Any person that's going through anything like that, you shield the kids from that kind of stuff. You don't have to bring them into that kind of rhetoric. Whatever it is. Like I said, I don't know this guy's life inside and out. All I know is when I met him, this guy was great. He's a total gentleman, totally cool, nice guy, always. And that's just from just meeting him, not thinking like, this guy's a rock star. He's done some things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this guy, when you go, everything that's coming up now, like him playing with the Doors and just all the stuff and just the voice and just him on stage.
Yeah.
It's like, that's all that stuff, that's what people will have to remember. And it's not just another rock star that did whatever. No one even knows what happened.
I was saying
it's going to be weeks. It's going to be weeks before anybody knows, okay?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the other thing. Just to go back to what you were saying before, if people were talking about like they already know what happened. Believe it or not, he could have just had. He did have. I think it was the same heart condition his brother.
He died of cardiac arrest.
Right. Well, supposedly the dispatcher said that. I don't think we know that for sure. I mean, obviously you would know more than I do.
Well, that's what I'm reading too. So.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, his brother had a heart problem just as he did, and that's what his brother died of. Believe it or not, people find it incredible to believe, but believe it or not, he may have just died.
Well, people will say a lot of things because they'll say a lot. Oh, well, for years and years he's been beating up his body. Oh yeah, tell me about Keith Richards again. Come on.
Yeah.
It's just people just need to let it lie. The thing is too, this is how fucked up this world has become. This is a great guy. He's a father. He was a husband. Okay, he's a dad. And then something happens like this, and everybody starts talking mad shit. You know what? Have a little respect for yourself and don't post stupid shit right now. You know what? You could think it, but don't write it. No one cares. You just look like a fucking idiot. You're gonna just run your mouth about something you don't know about. Dude, I'm reading some of the posts that are on that article that they picked up and quoted me on, and I'm just disgusted. There's just people that are dealing with their own problems with addiction or have dealt with somebody that has addiction or whatever, and they're going crazy on there, like they're venting, and I'm like, yo, to me, it's disgusting. There's a couple people in there making some good points. Like, I'm telling you right now, I don't care. From the vibe I got, there's some alienation going on as far as her with the kids and Scott. And this guy, everybody's like, oh, he could fly anywhere at any time and go see you. You know what? It's not that easy. You're not in that situation. It's either he's going to have to do it her way or he doesn't do it at all.
Right, and how do you know what his bank account constantly? Shithead.
It's crazy to me. You know what the thing is, too, like this? I met Scott's wife a couple times. She's the sweetest lady in the world. She is an amazing person, okay? Mm-hmm. Aside from being beautiful, she's a gift. She's amazing.
Right.
And she takes great photographs, and she's always in a great mood, and she loves her husband. And for her to sit there and have to read all this stuff,
that's the other thing.
To me, it's her. You know what I mean? Like, what do you have to do to just get away from
the other part of it was like,
you're with a high-profile person. Go ahead, man.
No, it's okay. No, but you reminded me. That's like the other thing was like people saying, is Mary putting this out there just to say fuck you to Jamie? Putting it out there that Scott called her in the middle of the night,
disrespectful to Jamie.
Crying,
it completely just takes her. It acts like she doesn't matter.
You know what?
you don't do that. She's married to Scott, and she's got an ex that's sounding off like this, and Jamie is in mourning. Her whole life is turned upside down.
If not still in
now
shock. Yeah, now is the time.
I mean,
yeah.
Exactly. I just told Tommy, like, you know, I'm like, you know, I don't even know what to say to him. I'm just like, Tommy, listen, dude, I'm really sorry you're going through this, man. And, you know, I mean, dude, they were bandmates. They toured together. I was on the bus with them. And those guys are brothers, man.
Yeah.
They're great. I mean, this is the first time I met Nick. I actually friended him up, talking to him on Facebook about he likes to surf. He likes to do all kinds of stuff. He's always buying vintage guitars, fixing them up. We had a lot to talk about. So when I finally met him, it was great. I had an awesome time meeting him. And, of course, Joey, the fucking greatest drummer ever lived. The guy, he's unbelievable. And he just stands alone. The guy's amazing.
It's another incredibly sad part is he finally got that. Sorry, no, I was saying it's incredibly sad that band was so goddamn tight. They got better and better as they went along, the Wildabouts.
Scott told me, he's like, this is the absolute, you know, best band I've ever been with.
Yeah.
Like, as far as they were just, it was like the greatest hits.
Don't get me wrong. I love Doug Green, but, man, was that lineup perfect.
Yeah, Doug, honestly, Doug and Scott should be best friends, and he's a musical genius. That guy's unbelievable. He actually produces and does a lot of stuff in L.A. with a bunch of friends that I hang out with that I've known my whole life. He's musically gifted.
Do you know what happened with Scott and Doug? Did they have a falling out? Were they still talking?
You know what,
cool?
dude? You know what? Yeah, they're cool.
You can tell me you don't know, or you can tell me you can tell me to shut up.
No, it's cool. I mean, you know, like, whatever. Me personally, I think Scott was looking for, like, kind of like a little bit younger, like, rocking kind of guys in the band. You know, Doug's a great musician. I don't know even know if Doug wanted to be on the road like that.
Right.
You know what, to tell you the truth, I don't really know.
Yeah, but it's just, you know, because the speculation was, or is still, I guess, that Doug was the one keeping him grounded and away from shit, and then he got rid of Doug and got in with this, quote, bad crowd, which, as we just talked about.
I don't know. I mean, you know what? Like, I'm not going to say I'm not going to say it's true or not true. I don't know. All I know is
neither am I.
Doug and Scott, I know one thing.
Doug
and Scott were great friends forever, and Doug would even do a lot of stuff at Lavish, and he did a lot of stuff at the studio with Scott. And, you know, and I know Scott and Scott was super close with Jeremy. They were best friends for a long time. He had good people around him. I mean,
yeah,
I know that for a fact.
Yeah, no.
You know, a lot of people that are. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. No, again, from meeting the Wildabouts just the 28th, the other Saturday, they were great. Now,
let me ask you a question real quick.
And then I'm going to ask you one or two.
All right.
Go ahead.
So did you see the Biters?
Did I see what?
The opening band?
Honestly, no, I didn't.
Okay, dude, that band.
What's the name of the band again?
Great live. The name of the band is called the Biters.
That's the one.
Atlanta.
That's the band that toured with them, right? Because there was another band that was just local.
Let me tell you, that band. I got that CD.
Yeah.
World class.
Those
guys are so good. Yeah, you got to definitely check it out.
No,
those guys are great. They were great live, and they're young, cool little band. But man, they got some songs.
Yeah, no,
I really liked it.
I'm gonna definitely check that out. I have to ask you and be devil's advocate because obviously I completely believe you with how Scott was towards you and how down to earth and cool he was. But what would you say to people, you know, when that story came out of him doing the meet and greets and saying shit, being a dick, and you know, you remember those articles, right?
I'm going to tell you about this because for spending a whole day with him, I'm going to tell you one thing.
Okay.
Anybody who's who's in the limelight or has been around or is, you know, he's a celebrity. Okay, dude, it's nonstop. It's nonstop. Everybody has their own things they want to say to that person, and everybody has their whole way that they think they're going to be. I'm going to tell you, man. I love Mike Patton. He's one of my favorite singers. Guy's super creative. I love Faith No More. I love Mr. Bungle. I met Mike Patton at in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
He was the biggest dick I ever met in my life, and I was okay with it because I'm like, dude, this guy is like, people are just up his ass sideways, and it was just a bad time, and I get it, and I don't hold it against him.
Yeah, sometimes it's actually better. Sometimes it's actually better to not meet some of your artist heroes. That I actually met one where I was like, oh wow,
well, we
that
were
sucks.
In the Foundation room after a show.
Person turned out to be the one that was bad-mouthing Scott.
Dude. was a perfect opportunity to meet Mike, and I was like, man, I got to just do it. He's right here, and he just, I don't know, he's just kind of a dickish kind of thing, but, and you know, every fan says the same thing. There. Dude, I love your shit. You're a fucking genius. Great to hear all that stuff. I just think after a while it just becomes monotonous. I think if you ask somebody like that a real question,
no, I'm sure it becomes exhausting after.
Dude, me and Scott were talking about his motorcycle. Talking about I hit a deer on my motorcycle this year. I had an injury to my arm. I showed him. Scott's like, dude, you can still play guitar with your arm like we were just talking about a shitload of things, man. He was talking about he loves fishing. He was telling me like he eventually wanted to move up to Napa Valley, build a house up there with Jamie. I mean, he's on and on. Like we had like an hour and a half to talk. It was just two guys talking about everything, probably about 10% music. One thing that was cool is I said, he's like, well, like what's your favorite song? Like, what, you know, out of all the songs, what do you think? What's your favorite song? Mm-hmm. And I told him, I was like, Lady Picture Shows. Honestly, my favorite song from them. That song to me, just when it came out, I just instantly loved it. I thought it had like a little Beatles feel. It was nice, and I always loved that song the most out of all the stuff. And he was like, dude, that's my favorite song. So that was cool.
Awesome.
I thought that was pretty cool. Out of the hundreds of songs I could have said, I said the same one that he liked. So that was kind of cool.
Dude, so, I can't thank you.
What were the questions you had?
No, that was really it, man. I mean, you know, I can go on all night with, you know, asking you why do people say or think this about, but, you know, you shouldn't be held accountable to answer for every goddamn thing that people have a problem with.
Nobody has respect anymore like they used to. When people used to respect musicians, respect what musicians stood for and what they. Here's what I chirp about, okay? And this is not even. Let's just say I never met Scott. People will be
liar. You did.
I know. Check this out.
I'm just kidding.
Let's say people on the forum are like saying bad things about Scott. Oh, he's this, he's that, he does this, he does that. Guess what, man? He was fucking Keith Moon, Keith Richards, fucking, you know, if he was Morrison, you know, like, those guys are like, oh, yeah, that guy did this, they did that, they're fucking greatest. They're praised. Everybody, you know what I mean? But Scott has done so much for music, and he's been playing forever. The guy is unbelievable, okay? And why are people talking shit? Because you want to know why? Because media these days is just, everybody has a word they're going to throw out there. And to me, it's disgusting. It's just unregulated. And back in the day, people used to have way more respect. It's the same thing that's happened to music. I mean, come on, man. People are posting their shit on YouTube and getting record deals, and they just pop whatever, and they sell a lot of albums. This is what the kids are doing now, man. They're watching something on YouTube, and then that blows up, and the next thing you know, that dude's got a record deal and a writing team and a tour. So music, to them, isn't like you write an album somewhere with your band, you record an album, and then you tour with that band. That's the old school way of doing things. Nowadays, you can just do whatever, and next thing you know, you got a hit single, and you're on tour doing something. It's completely different than what it used to be when I was little. Anyway, man, I'm 47 now, so I've seen so many different facets of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Before we let you go, dude, when you were hanging out at the table talking recently, did you at all think, like, or notice rather, shit, he's got his shit together. He looks great, sounds great. That was my impression when I saw him live the other Saturday. That I've talked about. I was like, holy fuck, he, you know, like,
people have asked me that for the last week,
which is why for me it was such a shock. Go ahead, man.
Scott, he was perfect, man. I mean, he was right on point. Like, laughing, goofing around, cool as hell, just having lunch, chilling, just relaxing for the show. Just like, we walked out at Penn State, we walked down that big deck, and he was like, man, this place is beautiful, man. You see that pond down there. Like, he was really, like, so nice up here, man. Yeah. And I was like, I'm like, I'd love to take my bike up here one time. I'm like, I don't live too far from here. And, you know, he was just blown away. Like, it's just, Penn State is a great place. Have you ever seen that venue?
I don't think so.
I'm telling you, this place, it's in Jim Thorpe, and it's like on the top of a hill. Mm-hmm. And during the day, they have a restaurant attached to the venue. And it is absolute, the food's great, but the view is unbelievable. And, you know, and then the venue is beautiful too, man. The staff is totally cool. It was a great place, man. I spent actually all day there. It was Thanksgiving weekend, and then after that, I'm driving home, and I just call Tommy up. I'm like, Tommy, I think you're around close by me today. He's like, yeah, we're in Jim Thorpe. So I got off the phone with him, and I just hit Siri. I'm like, how far am I from Jim Thorpe? And I was on my way home from New Jersey back to the Poconos. It's like, you're 25 miles away. So I just went right to him, man. And I knew they were tired, kicking in on the bus and sleeping and stuff. When I got there, Scott was on the bus, Tommy was on the bus. We were hanging out on the bus, just bullshitting and laughing. It was cool as hell, man. It was like just hanging out. And then me and Tommy just walked around, and then we sat and just I had a beer with Tommy, and then Scott showed up later, and it was just cool. And then after the show, same thing. There's a lot of people waiting at the bus and stuff. But I went on the bus, said goodbye to those guys, hung out with Tommy for a little bit, and that was it. I mean, basically spent the whole day from hours before the show until hours.
When you went on the bus, did you have to make sure you didn't trip over the massive, incredible, lethal doses of Xanax? Ooh, Xanax! I walk around with Xanax in my change pocket every goddamn day.
Dude, when I got on the bus, that bus was sparkling clean.
Yeah.
The only two on the bus at the time, so the crew was out setting up, and Joey and Nick were off the bus. Scott was on the bus. Tommy was on the bus.
Right. I mean, I was
immaculate.
I was just joking, obviously, but
no, I know, obviously. But you know what I mean, like.
But what would you say though? I'm sorry, but what would you say if people would ask you, like, I'm sure they're thinking it. What's with the whole thing with Tommy got arrested and what they found? Like what?
You know what? Look, they didn't find.
That's also a question you can tell me to shut up about, by the way.
No, it's cool. It's just look at this. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah,
my friend Tommy, he doesn't do drugs. I've known Tommy forever. Tommy's. Dude, I live in Hollywood. I know when people are on drugs. I've been around people. I'm telling you right now, Tommy, absolutely not. Scott, you know what? To tell you the truth, I don't know what to think. When I was with him, he was perfect. There was nothing wrong, and it was just like hanging out with a friend, and he was 100% fine. He had good energy. We were laughing about things. We had a good conversation. He was upbeat. He was excited about the show. He was excited about the tour. And we were talking about the album. I'm like, dude, I love this song. I love this song.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Bowie. We were talking about just a lot of topics. It was great. Like, when I got done talking to him that day, and I texted, actually last week when I heard the news about Scott, the next day, I texted Tommy everything that we talked about. Like, he was at the table, and then he went to sound check, and then he came back to the table. But there was an hour and a half where he was gone. So I texted him everything, man. Stuff he was talking to me about Jamie, stuff about him and how he feels about the band, just this and that. Just everything that we talked about, just so I wouldn't forget because it just happened. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
What would you say? And it wouldn't have been as important. So.
No, right. But what would you say was the coolest thing you found out about him from talking to him?
Let me think. You know what? He asked me, he goes, hey, he's like, when you're in town and you're hanging out, you ever stop by the studio? And I'm like, no. I'm like, I haven't. He's like, that's my happy place, man. He's like, that's my safe place, my studio. He goes, I love that place.
It's in Burbank,
like,
right?
Yeah, in Lavish. He's like, okay. Next time you come to town, you got to come by. And, a lot of my friends would record there, and, it's, for him to say, like, that's a spot where it all went down. I mean, that guy, he's been in there, and he's really comfortable. That was, like, his universe, man, that studio. He loved it. And I thought it was really cool that you've been doing this for 25 years, and when he's talking about his studio and writing, he's still as excited as ever. And I really did ask him this question. It's so funny, but I did say, Scott, at the end of the day, okay, like, the most thing you want to be remembered for it. He's like, my writing. Like, honestly, he's like, I really feel that's something I've always enjoyed doing, and that I love the most. I think that I'm he knows, like, he's like, that's what I'm good at. And he absolutely is.
No, that's one of the things I said earlier, that for some reason, I don't know why, STP, whatever band he is, solo, whatever, I don't know why, it's always been overlooked for some reason, it seems, that he is an incredible lyricist. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, he's bipolar. Like, everybody knows that. Like, dude, they told me I'm bipolar. Look, no bipolar is to me. I'm going to tell you. It's a clinical diagnosis, first of all.
I think everyone has it. It just depends on the level.
You know what it is? It's like this. a bunch of doctors get in a room and say, well, these people are all acting this way, so we have to call it something. It's a clinical diagnosis, all right? If somebody says somebody has a chemical imbalance, the only way you could tell that is when they're dead. You can't tell, you know what I mean? So it's basically a guess from a doctor's standpoint.
Wait, should I return
my
Xanax?
I said, Scott, check this out, man. Do you think, because bipolar for me is this. If I'm doing something and I'm concentrating on it, nothing gets done better than that. So when people say that, I'm fine with it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I know how to live with it, man. He tells me, like, Scott's like, well, what do you do? Like, I'm like, dude, if I'm having a low, honestly, man, I put on my shoes, I run. I'll go to the gym, I'll play basketball, I gotta exercise. I think exercise for me is the only thing that beats me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just told, and dude, like, being on the road, that's high octane, man. That's nonstop. That's nonstop. If you're not sleeping for a second, you're doing an interview, you're promoting, you're going to a radio station, you're doing an acoustic thing, you're always
Oh, yeah, there's some guy
fucking
shoving a
man.
phone in your face the second you wake up going, you got to call this morning zoo station. This wacky
Dude,
guy is going to ask you about
exactly.
news that
The
happened
tour
20 years
manager
ago.
did that.
Yeah.
The tour manager did that, and there was like an interview that I was listening to that Scott did, and he was like, it's a necessary evil, but thing is, like, it really, you become for the people. You're 100% you're just giving it your all. So when people go, oh, the meet and greet, Scott was this and Scott was that. Hey, man, this dude's like running around this country doing his best. He's one person. He's got millions of fans, and he's trying to make everybody happy. It just doesn't happen that way. It just can't. I mean, people try their hardest. Dude, I live in a hometown with Bon Jovi. I live in a hometown with Snakes and Skid Row. I've watched these guys, like Bon Jovi. I mean, the guy's a world icon. I mean, he's untouchable. Even Snake, greatest guy in the world, still the most humble and the coolest rock star ever. But these guys, when on the top of their game, your life isn't your own. Your life is for everybody. Everybody, you're just in a big glass bowl. Everybody's just watching and reading and seeing everything that you do. And instead of people in the press putting out like legit articles and trying to really honor this man's legacy, getting back to the article, I was really honestly disgusted in reading that. And not so much for Mary, just that Rolling Stone would drop that story. I mean, really, dude, do it months down the road or don't do it at all, but that just, to me, was like, people are going to run on this story.
Yeah, and again, like you said, the timing could have been worse. It was just a classless, shitty move.
Yeah, and even if you agree with her, who cares who you agree with? Nobody was in that fucking marriage. It was them two. And you know what?
And the other thing I was saying, too, I don't think it should go hand in hand that you have to like an artist as a person to enjoy their music or their art. I don't see why you have to. What she's saying is true.
Some lady, you're right. Some girl wrote this thing, and she's like, look, man, when I'm buying Scott's music that I love, I don't care if he's late on South Sport. I don't care what kind of it. Like, honestly, and that's the kind of, we need more people like that.
Right.
Hey, man,
I'm still going to buy the next. I'm still going to buy the next Filter record. But when I met Richard Patrick, he was a complete prima donna douche.
Who's that? The singer
from Filter, yeah.
Yeah, my friend Mary actually married the bass player. They're divorced now, but
he's had like 7 bass players in the last 2 years.
Yeah. This guy, he's I forget his name, but he actually went back into the army or whatever and stuff. But when they played an army bass, he jumps up and plays.
Oh, the original. From
from
Title of Record and Short Bus. Okay, I forget his name. I know you're talking about.
I haven't forgotten his name, but he's a good dude. But I mean, my close friend of mine had 2 kids with him, and I mean, dude, it's funny. Like, this is hilarious. My friend Joe was, because I moved. I lived in LA forever, and I live in the Poconos. I've lived here for like the last 10 years, off and on. Do a lot of stuff out in LA, but my friend, we're at a bar and we're shooting pool and talking about something, and some girl's like, "What? You don't know this person?" Like, just here, and I'm like, "Oh, I got to remember, like, I'm in Pennsylvania. Like, a lot of shit doesn't happen here like that." And when you talk about anything like this, you just sound like you're full of shit, dude. You know what? The only reason they ran with that story, I'm going to tell you why. I figured it out. It was on Tommy's page, and then. But Tommy had put.
Wait, when you say the story, you mean what Mary wrote or your response?
No, I'm saying my story, like the way it got picked up.
That's right. Okay.
The only reason they went to print with that and even using my name
mm-hmm.
is because Scott put on his Instagram, like, hey, we're in Penn's Peak, blah blah blah, and then on his Instagram there's a picture of me, him, and Tommy, and then him and another fan underneath, and he put it on his Instagram for the day, like promoting the show, and Tommy put like lunch with Joe Howard with a picture of me and Scott on his site. So they saw both those Instagram posts. So they're like, all right, so there's Joe Howard. Okay, so that happened. Okay, so that puts him there. And then he made this mention on Facebook, and he's friends with Tommy. So it's a story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the only reason it happened. Dude, I've had people from the Stern Show, TMZ. I've had like Access Hollywood. ET, all these people call me.
Well, now I feel honored. You called it to hear, and
dude,
not them.
It's not even that. I'm not spending my 15 minutes on that. Like, you're a real fan. I talked to you earlier today, and I'm like, you know what?
Appreciate it, man.
I'm
really.
I'm like, this dude's legit. He likes Scott, and you know what? I'm like you're like a lot of the other fans. You know, it sucks. Like, no one's letting any of the fans just fucking digest this for a minute. Like, we just lost the last.
That's a really good point.
Rock. This guy's a rock and roll fucking outlaw. He's an outlaw. That's why people trip on him, because he didn't do what the fuck people said. He did it his way, 1,000%. Even when he was getting in trouble or not getting in trouble.
We should be admired and not fucking ridiculed.
Dude, he could not give a fuck. Everything he did was calculated. He's smartest. He's one of the smartest dudes you ever want to talk to.
Yeah,
super intelligent.
Of course.
And I'm going to tell you, that dude, he is the last great frontman. He's a rock and roll outlaw. And the guy's a fucking legend. You know this. And for anybody to say anything stupid, I look at it like this. I'm going to tell you a stupid story, but you're going to laugh.
All right.
So I used to work with these people, and there were a couple. And we'd be like, they'd be in the lunchroom, and I'm listening to them rambling on. And, the girl, whatever, I'm not going to say his girlfriend she was like not exactly like something you'd be looking at and thinking it was amazing looking. But he was like, oh, Pamela Lee, man, she's ugly. And I just had to say, hey, man, like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm like, dude, you can't say that Pamela Lee's ugly. I don't give a fuck if you don't think she's good looking or you think I'm not going to fucking let you sit here when you're going out with that girl. Tell me that Pamela Lee's fucking ugly.
Right, but there's always going to be someone.
Know the fucking league you're in, dude. You're not even able to fucking say that. You're not allowed. So there's not enough people like me that are saying stuff like that to people. And like, people, so even some of my close friends, like, dude, I mean, it seems like you're trying to do this and do that with the article. No, man, that's not the case. Look, I just had a conversation, and he talked about something.
No, to make it clear, I contacted you. It's not like you contacted me to get on the show.
Do you know what I'm saying, though? Like, I'm not, like, people are acting like I'm trying to cash in.
No, you just wrote a post on your friend's page.
If I was trying to do that, I'd be on Stern.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to do that. Look, if anything that would help Scott get his word out there a little bit, not that we talked extensively, because, dude, if I probably tried to pry a little, he would have probably been like, dude, man, fuck. Come on, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I was honestly just trying to just listen to what he's saying and just be like, fuck, I got to change the subject quick.
And you're lucky you're lucky you grasped the number one key thing when you meet someone famous, especially who you look up to. Don't be a fanboy. That's the quickest way to get shut out of,
Well, people are on the page like, oh, look at this fanboy. Oh, he's probably, he knows this guy's whole life story. I never claimed any of that. All I'm saying is, please don't tell me. I know a lot, even my own brother, like, he's been through a war with his divorces. You never know what to fucking say. These women, man, they got fucking the upper hand. They always get things handed to them. They get everything. And half of them aren't even fucking, they can't even hold it down. But they just get the ruling, and we just, the guys just live like pigs, man. We suffer. You're away from your kids. You're fucking thinking about them. You got to run the fucking gauntlet if you want to fucking see them. And I read, he's got a lot of money. He could do it. No, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you could do whatever the fuck you want. Some judge is going to tell you what the fuck you're doing, and some fucking girl who's crazy, your crazy ex, is going to break your fucking balls every step of the way because you want to be in your kids' lives. And then she's going to tell them that kind of stuff. They're going to read this fucking article one day.
Yeah, it's incredibly fucked up. I'm just glad you wrote the response, dude. And we got to take a break. But, dude, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you calling in, and you're welcome to call back anytime. Anytime means any Thursday. It's the only time I'm live. So, call back then. But thanks.
Yeah, man. I really
appreciate it.
I'm glad you reached out, man. I'm glad you reached out, and good job at this, and I'll talk to you later, man. Have a great New Year, man. Enjoy the holidays.
You too, bro. Thanks so much. We're going to take a break with Lady Picture Show, Scott Weiland's favorite song.
All right.
Thanks again, brother.
Cool.
All right.
Take care.
Bye, man. There goes Joe. Wow. Very cool guy. And, I could have went another hour easily talking to him, but then at some point as a radio host, it has to dawn on me that not every single one of my listeners is a hardcore SDP fan. So we will take a break and come back with our regularly scheduled dick joke program. You check out the Cousin Joe Show, more like radio.
Cack.
Back in 4 minutes.
Outside the door.